The movie starts by telling the story of a wealthy man named Chun Pun-soo. He needs to leave his wife to go to work, but he's involved in illegal activities because he's a powerful figure in his city's criminal underworld. When Pun-soo arrives at his office, he instructs his loyal employee, Mun-kul, to go to a factory in the city along with some of their associates. Their mission is to make the factory owner, Jong-ki, sign a document giving up his land. Jong-ki is an ordinary middle-aged man who isn't strong enough to resist. At first, he refuses to sign the document, but Mun-kul's associates use violence and even threaten to harm him with a dangerous tool. Under this intense pressure, Jong-ki reluctantly signs the document, and once they achieve their goal, Mun-kul and his associates leave, appearing satisfied. In the meantime, Pun-soo is having dinner, and a man named Bos-young comes up to him. From Pun-soo's expression, it's clear that he isn't pleased with Bos-young's arrival, even though they both belong to the same criminal organization. They appear to have some disagreements, and Bos-young even gets upset and slams the table. It turns out that they're competing for the position of leader within their criminal group, which is currently held by Pun-soo's father-in-law. Later on, Pun-soo is eating lunch alone at a noodle shop. On the other side of his table, a high school student named Kim Dong-yoon, who wears glasses, is also having noodles at the same place. After they finish their meals, they both go to the cashier to pay. Unfortunately, Dong-yoon realizes that he forgot his wallet that day. When the noodle shop owner learns about this, she looks at Pun-soo and asks him to cover the cost of Dong-yoon's meal. Although Pun-soo is a bit annoyed about paying for food he didn't order, he eventually agrees to the elderly lady's request. Dong-yoon promptly thanks Pun-soo, a stranger he didn't know. After paying, the elderly lady mentions that Pun-soo will receive a gift later. Shortly after eating at the noodle shop, Dong-yoon found himself on the rooftop of his school building, which was close to the shop. He was trying to retrieve a shoe that had gotten stuck on the TV antenna up there. It turns out his classmates had bullied him by putting one of his shoes on the TV antenna. He tried to reach it with one foot while balancing on his toes. Unfortunately, he lost his balance and fell to the street below. As he fell, he collided with Pun-soo, who was standing on the same street. Both Pun-soo and Dong-yoon were rushed to the hospital for medical attention. Before long, Pun-soo regained consciousness from his coma. He felt disoriented and noticed something unusual about his appearance. He got out of bed and was shocked when he looked in the mirror because his face had miraculously become younger. He became even more puzzled when he realized that the body he was in didn't belong to him. After some thought, he understood that somehow his body and soul had switched with Dong-yoon's. He looked into the hospital room where his original body was still in a coma. Before long, Dong-yoon's father arrived at the room where they were both receiving care. It turns out that Dong-yoon's father is a factory owner who had been threatened by his employees in the land handover matter. When he spoke to the doctor treating his son, the doctor explained that Dong-yoon was suffering from memory loss. Consequently, Pun-soo had no other option but to go home with Dong-yoon's father and live the life of a high school student. The following day, Pun-soo accompanied his father to school. His father inquired with the principal about his son's situation, mentioning how he had been bullied and ended up falling from the building's roof. However, the principal didn't provide much clarity on the matter. Pun-soo then headed to his class. Pun-soo, now in Dong-yoon's body, notices that Dong-yoon is frequently mistreated by his classmates. One day, he witnesses a girl named Oh-yoon-chong being bullied by her friends. Pun-soo doesn't just stand by. He steps in to protect Oh-yoon-chong and fights back against the bullies. Some of his classmates take him to a secluded area behind the school. However, they are astonished to see Dong-yoon standing up to them and fighting back. Pun-soo, with his experience dealing with tough situations as a mafia member, easily handles the high school bullies, leaving them scared and defeated. Later in the afternoon, the same group of bullies who had targeted Dong-yoon before are found bullying another student in the school restroom. Pun-soo intervenes once again to defend his classmate and defeats the bullies one by one. He also takes one of the bullies' cell phones and discovers photos and videos of them mistreating weaker kids on the phone. When Pun Su arrived at his house, he double-checked the cell phone of the bully who had harassed his friend earlier. He came across a video recording that showed the actual incident where Dong Yun was bullied before falling from the building's roof and injuring himself. By watching the video, he identified all the individuals involved in bullying Dong Yun. The following day, he confronted all the bullies and fought them. Pun Su then warned them that he wouldn't hesitate to take the video evidence to the police if their bullying continued. The focus then shifts to Pun Su's wife. In a parking lot, Pun Su's wife is caught having an affair with another man. Suddenly, Boss Young approaches her and proposes they collaborate to eliminate Pun Su. Boss Young hopes that by doing so, he can have an easier path to becoming the leader of the mafia. Pun Su's wife reluctantly agrees to the plan, fearing that her affair might be exposed to her father, who happens to be the head of the mafia. In another place, Mundcool was at his apartment when Pun Su unexpectedly approached him. Mundcool was taken aback because the person claiming to be Pun Su looked like a high school student. Initially, Mundcool didn't recognize Pun Su. However, after a challenging conversation, Mundcool eventually realized that the high school student sitting in front of him was indeed Pun Su, his boss. The following day, Pun Su met with Yoon Chong. While they were talking, Yoon Chong's mother suddenly arrived to pick her up. Pun Su was surprised when he realized that Yoon Chong's mother was Oh Mi-soon. It turned out that Mi-soon had been his girlfriend during his high school days, and also his first wife, whom he had left. Suspicion arose in Pun Su's mind that Yoon Chong might be his biological daughter from the past, so he grabbed Yoon Chong's hair. Pun Su then instructed Mundcool to go to the hospital and collect a sample of his real hair from his body. Later, Mundcool obtained the hair for DNA testing. The test results confirmed that Yoon Chong was indeed his daughter. With this knowledge, Pun Su's paternal instincts kicked in. Furthermore, he noticed that Yoon Chong was often mistreated because she didn't have a father. Fueled by a desire for revenge, Pun Su urged Mundcool to harm the high school students who had been bullying Yoon Chong, specifically suggesting breaking their legs. However, Mundcool refused because he didn't want to involve the police. Pun Su then explored other ways to help his daughter confront the bullying she faced at school. Next, Pun Su asks Yoon Chong to join him in training at the fitness center to learn self-defense. Their rigorous training slowly transforms Dong Yun's original body, which was once heavyset, into a fit and athletic physique. With this remarkable change in appearance, Pun Su becomes the focal point of attention at school, like a famous idol artist. One afternoon after school, Pun Su visits Yoon Chong's home. He comes across pictures of his daughter and feels a sense of sorrow because he couldn't be there for her as she grew up. He discreetly captures these photos using his cell phone camera. One evening, Dong Yun's father was walking alone in a quiet alley near his home. Unfortunately, he ran into a group of tough individuals who demanded money from him. When they were about to gang up on him, Pun Su stepped in to protect his father. However, things took a surprising turn when his father, who couldn't fight, hugged Pun Su to shield him from the thugs' attacks. This prevented Pun Su from fighting the thugs. The following day, Pun Su ordered Mundcool to send his men to raid the thugs' headquarters. With his martial arts skills and ruthless demeanor, the thugs there didn't stand a chance against Mundcool and his men. At school, Yoon Chong appeared more confident in defending herself thanks to the training she had with her father. She even dared to stand up against the bullies at her school. Meanwhile, at Yoon Chong's home, Pun Su paid a visit to Mi-soon. Mi-soon was busy serving customers at her diner when one male customer inappropriately touched her and teased her. Pun Su couldn't tolerate this behavior and confronted and fought the customer. After Pun Su fought the inappropriate customer, he asked Mi-soon to have a conversation with him. He explained that the high school boy's body he was in actually contained the soul of her first husband, Pun Su. Initially, Mi-soon found it hard to believe what she heard, but after a lengthy conversation, she finally accepted the truth and felt anger toward Pun Su for leaving her. As for Yoon Chong, she started to be accepted by her classmates, and one of them even invited her to a party. That night, Yoon Chong attended the party and witnessed one of Pun Su's classmates being mistreated by his peers, being forced to serve as a waiter. Pun Su received a call informing him that Yoon Chong had gone to the party and was being bullied. Hearing this, he rushed to the scene to rescue her. When he arrived, he found his daughter being mistreated, and he promptly confronted and defeated the bullies before taking Yoon Chong home. Sometime later, Mundkul meets Pund Su at a park and delivers some distressing news. He informs Pund Su that his wife is having an affair and is working with Boss Young to get rid of him. Upon hearing this, Pund Su asks Mundkul to send a message to his father-in-law, who is the leader of the mafia. On another day, due to their close relationship, Yoon Chong starts developing romantic feelings for Pund Su, who is inhabiting Dong Yoon's body. However, Pund Su firmly rejects her advances and walks away. The scene then shifts to Boss Young, who visits Pund Su in the hospital room where his original body is in a coma. Boss Young comes there with the intention of killing him. But suddenly, Pund Su's body awakens from its coma. Boss Young is so shocked and frightened that he stumbles and faints. Dong Yoon, who found himself in Pund Su's body, returned home after waking up. At home, he embraced his father, but his father couldn't recognize him because his soul was trapped in someone else's body. After the initial confusion settled, Pund Su returned home. The three of them sat down together, and Pund Su explained the unusual situation. Pund Su then asked Dong Yoon to go with him to Mi-soon's place. During their visit to Mi-soon's house, Boss Young also arrived with the intention of getting rid of Pund Su. A fight broke out, with Pund Su in Dong Yoon's body facing off against the gangsters. Eventually, Pund Su was knocked down by Boss Young, who used a hydrant as a weapon. In a state of panic, Mi-soon rushed to the kitchen and brought out a gas cylinder. She threatened Boss Young and his men, telling them that if they didn't leave immediately, she would detonate the gas cylinder and endanger everyone's lives. Witnessing the woman's daring move, Boss Young and his gang decided to retreat. A few days later, Pund Su's father-in-law invited him to their home, and his wife was also present. During their meeting, Pund Su revealed his wife's true nature, explaining that she had cheated on him and was conspiring with Boss Young to harm him. The mafia leader was aware of the situation and gave Pund Su a choice: continue working in the mafia or leave. Pund Su, who had Dong Yoon's soul inside him, attended the meeting with instructions transmitted through a communication device in his ear. He overheard the real Pund Su's preference to leave and return to his first wife. He realized that, despite his faults, his first wife was the only person who had been willing to stand by him. To him, that's what makes a real family. His father-in-law understood his decision. Consequently, Pund Su resigned from his mafia job, intending to rebuild his relationship with Mi-soon, his first wife. As Pund Su left his father-in-law's house and spoke to Dong Yoon, they were struck by his second wife's car. She was furious that Pund Su had exposed her affair to her father. Pund Su and Dong Yoon were rushed to the hospital. Upon reaching the hospital, Pund Su, still in Dong Yoon's body, apologized to Yoon Chong for not being there for her and witnessing her grow up. Then he suddenly passed out, and Dong Yoon, standing in the hospital corridor, also fainted. As Pund Su was about to undergo surgery, he had a dream where the old lady from the noodle shop, whom he had met before the accident, appeared. She advised him to take good care of his family. In the end, Pund Su woke up from his coma, and 6 months later, he could be seen starting a restaurant business with Mi-soon and their daughter, Yoon Chong. Dong Yoon returned to school and resumed his daily routine without worrying about bullies. So the moral of the story is life's like a noodle soup. Sometimes you're a mob boss, other times you're a bullied high schooler. Just remember, it's all about the choices you make and the family you slurp it up with.